All right. This fancy little remote works. Okay. So, first video of the series. Titled it 2020. It's the new 666 as far as everyone's concerned. Everybody probably hates that number now. And refusing to become cold. Oh, we gotta get a gratuitous shot of the M1 Garand and a double barrel shotgun because it just looks so cool. But that's not what this channel is going to be about, believe it or not. And for those that know me, you're probably doing a double take right now. No, it's going to be a lot. It's going to be about a lot more pertinent things. I'm not looking for sponsors. I guess want to reach out to people. I think in general that's probably what everybody's scrambling to really do. We've been locked down since March, April, May, June, July, August, even though they said it was going to be 2 weeks. But enough about that. Title of the video, 2020, Refusing to Become Cold. The reason why I titled it that, I want to start out with a little biblical verse. And yeah, I'm going to be throwing some scripture verses in my videos. If you don't like it, hey, that's cool. You know, I'll still respect you. So I'm going to start with a verse, Ephesians 4:18-19. It's King James Version, by the way. Having the understanding darkened, being alienated from the life of God through the ignorance that is in them, because of the blindness of their heart. And blindness, coldness, pretty much the same thing. But you get the point. So, why am I talking about the hardness of heart when I want to discuss 2020, the whole lockdown thing, and the lockdown that's going to be continued into the fall when the regular flu is going to hit hard, and they're probably going to institute a crunch-style lockdown again. If you live in New Jersey and you know our wonderful liberty-loving mayor, Governor Murphy, you're going to realize that buck-toothed little fiend is going to lock us down again. So enjoy the summer while you can. Enjoy the bars that are kind of sort of open. It's going to come to a head very soon when they're going to enact those emergency procedures again. Off the top of my head, from what I've observed, a lot of people have different opinions on COVID and the virus and all this other stuff that's going on with the economy. Should we be super safe? Should we just open up so we don't have an economic crash? There's all these wild opinions. Whether you want to agree with them or not, at the end of the day, it doesn't matter. Let me just pause this for a second. Hold on. There we go. I shouldn't be chewing gum. That's rude if I'm doing a presentation. So, yeah, for those of you who look up their news on the internet, which a lot of people do nowadays, or maybe you're one of those people that are just glued to the alphabet soup news, ABC, CBS, whatever, you probably have a differing of opinions. And I'm here to tell you through my own experiences, what difference does it make? They are going to extend these lockdowns and expect things to get a little bit spicier, for lack of a better term. So what I want to start out is with a 100,000 level foot view and kind of a foundation to build upon. If you're going to tackle and survive and analyze what's going to be coming down the pipe. Or really any catastrophic event or situation where you're going through rough times, whether it be through business, with the economy as a whole, not just your business, whether it be through civil unrest with protests, all this other stuff. The faces change, but the strategies do not. And you could have all the gear and canned beans and spam and guns and ammo and gunpowder in the world, and it's not going to mean anything if you don't have a proper mentality. And when I mean proper mentality, I mean we're talking about mental and spiritual. And I'm not going to get too much into religion or anything, because in New Jersey there's all sorts of people, and I'm sure there's plenty of atheists. But it gets tense enough, you're going to be questioning your atheism. I'll promise you that. So, back to that little verse that I just said. Reason why I want to talk about hardness of heart, because in this age of 2020, it's a lot of amazing things. A lot of really unbelievable things. We've had it so good, technological wise, that we are truly blessed. We hoot and holler over little things. Meanwhile, we get to sit in our air-conditioned rooms, and we got these wonderful smartphones that could film videos and give us books from all over the world via virtual libraries. I mean, it just goes on and on and on. What I always found very interesting and really sad is that despite all this phenomenal technology, we're talking about technology to have a real crisp, high-def video conversation with someone across the country, or to be able to have a high-def voice conversation with, say, someone in India or Japan or whatever. And here we are communicating in what way? What is the most dominant way that we're all communicating with each other right now? Go ahead, I'll wait. Does it begin with the letter T? Yeah, texting. Or these stupid messaging apps. We're now even dating through texting apps. With all those websites like Match and OkCupid and all this other stuff, they're really glorified texting apps. They're a combination of just scrolling through Facebook profiles, and then they merged it with a texting app. That's all they did. So here we are with the most phenomenal computing devices on the face of the planet. And the way we use them to communicate is nothing but a glorified typewriter. My conversation about the heart and the heart is going to extend from this. Also, it's going to extend to the YouTube community as a whole. I just see going bonkers. There's this whole concept, probably everybody's heard of this or seen it at least once, of not showing your emotions, and the one who cares the least amount wins, and you gotta appear hard and all this other nonsense. But don't get me wrong, you gotta be logical, you gotta have your head on a swivel. There are people that are out to get you. There is a weaponized, intentional social engineering of gearing up the system to destroy marriages, destroy families, completely destroy the community unit. Don't get me wrong, there's all that stuff going on. But with that said, all these videos and coaches that are there to keep telling you to not care and to be stoic and not, to show you don't care, put on up a front that you're hardened. It's really pathetic. You're just, I hate to use a cliche 90s term, you're just posing. You're ingenuine. There's nothing more pathetic and cringy when you're ingenuine. No, I'm straying off subject a little bit. Because, what does this have to do with the mentality of going through hard times and stuff? I'm going to get there. It's important that you don't buy into this mentality of not caring. Because they keep telling you, well, kindness is weakness and showing that you care is weakness and all this other stuff. When you buy into that mentality, when you invest into that, you're basically selling a part of yourself. You're shutting a part of yourself down that's meant to be there. You're letting them turn off your feelings like they're turning off the light. It's from an 80s song. If you could guess what song that's from, I'll send you $1. Just don't give me your address. So they keep pounding this idea that we're not supposed to care, or at least show that we care. And I don't mean this virtue signaling, emoting. By the way, there's a big difference between emotions or emoting and actually feeling something. Two totally different things. You break up with your high school girlfriend, and she's gonna get pretty emotional, but she's just emoting. She's just putting on a show, and she'll probably have another dude in a week. Or you got a 5-year-old who's not getting a toy that he wants. Well, he's emotional. He's throwing a temper tantrum, but does he feel moved? No, he's just not getting what he wants. So the point is they're trying to shut off a genuine core attribute of what makes you a person, what separates you from common jungle animals to individuals who are supposed to form communities together. Seems like we're tearing down communities together. It's rough to say. And what happens, what I think is the most painful thing to watch happen, is that we're all running around, we're all hurting each other. Probably some of you have heard the term, oh, who hurt you? It's a very dismissive term. It's very annoying. And sometimes when someone has strong feelings about something and someone doesn't agree with it, they go, oh, well, who hurt you? Well, life has hurt us all. Life is pain. You don't get out of it alive. Remember, it's life. And everybody dies at least once in their life, and you don't get out of it alive. So life in general is pain. Don't ever let someone talk to you like that. Don't ever let someone dismiss you. You're not dismissible. When they keep telling you not to feel, when they keep telling you that unless you're producing, you're worthless, that's when you got to look at yourself in the mirror and pretty much tell yourself you're not going to buy into that. And this is where it segues into being able to deal with catastrophe in tough times. Because if you buy into this nonsense of you're not unique, you're not producing enough, or you're supposed to be this, this unfeeling robot. Well, from there on in, you're gonna start psychologically breaking down. That mentality is gonna permeate into other things. It's gonna permeate into relationships. It's gonna permeate into friendships. It's gonna permeate into business, into your work, and all that stuff. And to the point where you won't even care if you wake up in the morning. It's chipping away at you. So, now let me ask you something. How are you going to be able to survive real hardcore bad stuff like a 30s style depression? See, that's the thing. The lockdown that's coming down the road, if they really extend that for the rest of the year and then into 2021, I want to explain to you very seriously what's going to happen. What's going to happen is we are going to stare down the double-barrel shotgun of a proverbial economic collapse that's going to make the 30s look like ginger beer. I would go so far as to say you need a strong mentality to be able to get through that. Or else you're going to be, jumping out of buildings like, the guys in the 30s and stuff. If your heart is so petrified, aka turned to stone, that not only you ain't going to help the poor person that's dying on the street, but you ain't even going to help yourself, well, then it's a wrap. That's it. You might as well not go out and buy those rolls and rolls of toilet paper and Spam and all that crappy SKS or AK ammo that is going to be filling up your closet because you just already gave up before you started. Follow what I'm saying? Now you see where this is going? So, you're buying into this, let's just face it, this sheep mentality. You think you're woke. You're not. There's nothing new under the sun, okay? There's nothing new under the sun. You think you're hard because you found out a little bit about how, things really work, or how about, the psychology of male and female nature, and all these things that were never taught to us in school, that were never taught to us through print media and stuff, because they sure as heck wanted us in the dark. But now the internet rolls around and YouTube rolls around, and you think you're Billy Badass because you got a little bit of knowledge, and now you're gonna, you're gonna become stone cold and stoic and stuff. This stuff that you're so-called discovering has been known for thousands of years. One of the reasons why we're crumbling now is because we're not keeping to those same principles. We're not following that. You could argue with me all you want, but it's true. So there's nothing new under the sun. You're not woke, or whatever you want to call yourself. You're just sheep that are falling for another socially engineered setup program. And by the way, that's not targeted at anybody who's listening to this. I'm just saying, in general, people who buy into that and thinking that they're discovering something new and that they're going to just bypass giving it all to something other than yourself or any hedonistic pleasure or anything like that. You're fooling yourself. This stuff is... You ain't discovering nothing. All you're doing is hurting yourself, and you're selling yourself out. And you know you are. and that chips away at you. It just eats you. It eats you up a little, and it takes the very fight out of you, or as the Yiddish like to say, the chutzpah out of you, which you are going to need when you see businesses around every corner put up for sale sign. That could be your very own business, by the way. So you better have heart to deal with not only having to help yourself, but to help others around you. You think you're going to survive this by being a lone wolf? That's lesson number one. This isn't a movie, okay? This isn't the book of Eli that's going to be coming down that road. And you think you're going to pull out a blade and do all this fancy martial arts crap, and then, you're just going to keep going down, the road, walking cross country. No. What's probably going to happen is, you're going to get robbed and killed by someone who's just desperate. And this guy could just be a Joe Blow. He doesn't even have to be a deranged crack addict or whatever. So to take on what's coming down the road, whether it be, and I know this sounds scary and a little bit of alarmist, a martial law type scenario or a hardcore economic collapse, you're going to have guts, you're going to have heart, and you're going to have to be able to care and help others out. And this whole cold mentality is very foolish. What's going to happen is you're going to stare into that void, and then you're going to become it. Well, how do I know so? Because I went through the same thing. I was the guy staring into the void, and I almost lost it. It's not fun looking into that void. Oh yeah, you'll find out things about life that a lot of people won't accept. But then it just draws you in deeper and deeper and deeper. And then you become bitter. It's up to you to become bitter or better. And I know that sounds really, really corny. But it's really up to you to pull yourself out of that black vortex and be like, no, I'm not going to buy into this, and I'm not going to lower myself just so I could fit in, or just so, I could pick up this girl because she thinks I'm alpha bro or whatever crap they're preaching about, picking up a girl and having a relationship or whatever. You should see all the crap that's on the internet about that stuff. And you wonder why families are breaking apart. Because they're selling you a shit sandwich. And they're actually charging for this advice too. It's I guess it's better to laugh than cry, but now as far off as all that seems, this stuff is very important to be aware of and understand. Because if you're just beaten down by the social engineering to the point where you don't care anymore, don't think that you're going to have a snowball's chance in hell to make what's coming out, to be able to make it through what's coming down the road. And for those of you who have a wife and children, I'm predominantly speaking to the men here. Mind you, there's a lot of tough women out there, single mothers that, have to hold it down because they have to. But overall, if you got a family, then you better, for lack of a better term, get your house in order. And I mean the house right here and the house right here, not the physical house. So let's go down further. With each video, we're going to go further and further. I don't know what into, but it's going to get interesting. So, okay. Events, crazy events like another lockdown or economic collapse or whatever. You know, you may have to deal with that. You're also going to have to deal with tremendously awful, wicked people too. It's like a big trend now. Now, I don't want to get too into this, but just over the past couple months, there's been all this stuff coming around about child sex trafficking, the whole Epstein Island stuff. Obviously people know about that. Hollywood possibly being involved. Everybody's trying to say this Pizzagate stuff, it's a little weird, it's conspiracy theory. Yeah, maybe it is, but it's really weird that a lot of people are now coming out about it. And you got all these Hollywood celebrities and stuff running away to countries that don't have extradition laws. Really strange. I would like to believe in coincidence. I don't, though. Once again, I'm segueing, I apologize, but if you're not psychologically and spiritually grounded, this stuff is going to scare the hell out of you. Some of these people are literally demon possessed, and they hold high position. Another biblical verse: wicked people in high places. There's a lot of them now. And no, I'm not talking about Trump. And no, I also don't think Trump is going to be the savior of the world. But I do find it interesting and admirable that he's going after these groups, these disgusting groups that are trafficking these poor kids. Got my MAGA hat right there. He certainly ain't perfect, but at least he's giving it all he's got. It's funny. So many people also put their faith in Hillary Clinton. Why are we all putting our faith into these politicians that would sell their mother for $1? And I see a lot of these politicians. They either got they're hardcore protesting with Black Lives Matter and LGBT groups, which I got no problem with that. You live the life you want to live, and yeah, I feel bad for a lot of innocent black people that were killed by some trigger-happy police. Mind you, I also know a lot of great police that have saved a lot of people, whether it be white, black, whatever. Listen to the story of Lil Wayne. He shot himself in the chest. Police raided the house he was in to get the drugs. The only guy that said, "What's going on here? There's this kid, he shot himself in the chest, he's dying." Out of all the officers there, he was the only white officer. He picked him right up and he brought him to the hospital. So, this whole thing that all police are racist and all, don't buy into that either. That's another game they're playing. And I don't care if people get pissed off at me or not because of it. It's another game they're playing. They're playing the race game. Why? Because if we're all busy killing each other, we're not going to band together and help each other survive. We're not going to band together and help each other get it through. For instance, during the storm, okay, power went out. I had this fancy little generator system that I concocted with running natural gas lines and a transfer switch down my basement. And I was able to help out to my elderly black neighbors. Now, does that make me better than you? Does that make me a soul? No. But what I'm trying to say is that if we really envelop ourselves into this whole racism thing, We're not gonna be helping each other out like that. Well, what happens if like they had the fancy generator or cans of food and stuff and I needed it, but no, we're too busy kneeling during the national anthem and hating each other and all this other nonsense, and we're just holding on to what we have. And we're letting the poor person next to us die in the gutter because he's a shade of color that we don't like or that we're afraid of. But that's another thing you got to watch out for, that race bait crap. If they pit us together, we're not going to use our minds to say, hey, let's band together, help each other out, have each other's backs, and we could fight these nasty, disgusting demons that are trying to control us. That actually happened during some of the riots, where you had communities that were protecting innocent people from getting robbed and looted. And you had gun owners who were black and gun owners who were white who banded together, had each other's backs, and in neighborhoods did not get raided because they had each other's backs. They weren't going to buy into that crap. They weren't going to buy into the race bait crap, which the media and these I don't like to use the word Republican and Democrat because it don't matter. A lot of these people are in bed together. I like to call them the controllers. The demonic controllers, whether you believe in that stuff or not. But they weren't going to buy into that garbage. They weren't going to buy into protests where mysteriously protesters appear and then all of a sudden these huge crates of bricks appear too. When there ain't no construction taking place, you get these crates of bricks that magically appear, and then lo and behold they get thrown through windows and all this other stuff. People weren't buying into it. They were like, no, we're going to protect our community, we're going to band together. And that's a beautiful thing. That's how it should go. That's how you survive crazy. When these riots were kicking off, if you're in the middle of it, it must seem like the apocalypse. I think I could just put this here, the microphone's over here, I don't need the headphones in. But it must seem like the apocalypse. And they made it through, because why? They banded together. No one was playing lone wolf, okay? Once again, if you think you're going to lone wolf it, not going to happen, Jack. You're not John Wick, okay? Stop. Stop the fantasy crap. It's more that example, just case in point. It's far less about having the fanciest gear, and it's more along the lines of being able to look at yourself in the mirror and be able to reinvent yourself and make yourself better, and then use that to make others better. And you take that, growing cold crap, please toss it out the window. You got to make yourself better, and then you can make others better. Cruelty and bitterness is a sign of weakness, and it will just poison you. And you can kiss your chances of survival goodbye because you've already eaten yourself up. You've already shot yourself in the head with a psychological and spiritual bullet. So, what's coming down the pipe? Is it going to be a full-on second wave of COVID that's going to be far more virulent? I don't know. Was the first wave all that virulent in every single death stat? Was it 100% verifiable and thorough? I don't know. I heard a lot of stuff about how the books were cooked. I also heard a lot of stuff from nurses that it was really bad March and April. And then I also heard how by May they had it under control. I don't know. I could just go on and on and on about all these conspiracy theories, real theories. Who knows? So what's coming down the pipe is this going to be a worse COVID? Is it going to be the 1 in 30 here that's just going to get really bad during the fall while everyone's also fighting off the flu, which is going to be bad because everybody has stayed indoors and they didn't expose themselves to the daily germs that we all expose ourselves to because we have an immune system. I don't know if you guys noticed, you have an immune system. It's there for a reason. It was made perfectly by God or by the flying spaghetti monster for my atheist friends out there. Or is it the double-barrel shotgun, the proverbial double-barrel shotgun of a worldwide economic collapse, which is going to be worse than 30 style because A, you have a world full of, well, not a world full, but you got a majority of people who will literally commit suicide if they don't get their hit of social media. So you can imagine how mentally weak they are. And if they don't get their psych meds, they're going to go absolutely nuts. So you're going to have those crazies roaming the streets. And then we are far less egalitarian, I think that's correct pronunciation, than we've ever been. Which means you got a vast majority of people, they don't know how the hell to grow their own vegetables or hunt or fish or anything like that. In the 30s, a lot of people, we were far more rural. Do I have anything against cities? No. There's phenomenal inventions and knowledge and just great artwork and everything in the city. I get a little bit emotional when I talk about the cities because there's the artwork and the music and the creation that comes out of these places. It is really wondrous, and I don't want to see it go, and I don't want to see it be burned to the ground by desperate, misled people or angry people or people that are just starving because they can't work. And that could be you or me very easily. So I'm going to close this off in a couple minutes because, like I said, I want to keep these videos just 20 to 40 minutes long. We all got stuff we got to do. And we got all this, once again, if you're living in New Jersey, we got all this Governor Murphy crap to worry about because he just extended lockdown stuff for another month. And we all got lives to live. So, next video is going to be a rough one, but a very important one. And it's about the subject of sometimes in life, there's things that you have to let go of. And it's something that I am just awful at. And I'll hold on to everything until it burns me. I'm the type of knucklehead, I don't want to hold on to a hot pan from the stove. Once again, I'm using a metaphor, but you do that, what happens? You burn yourself up. So yeah, you want to definitely care for people, but next video, there are unfortunate moments in life where there's things that you do have to let go of. So, I guess in conclusion, don't fall for the social engineering. Don't listen to the people who are telling you to turn your very essence off. Don't let these sociopaths dictate who you should be. Because if you do, you're going to slowly but surely lose yourself. And then you're just going to lose the will to fight and the will to live. I've seen it happen. When I myself was staring into that void, I wasn't fully plunged into it Like some people, I know some people, they went full-fledged into it and they never came back. They're either hopeless alcoholics or mentally really ill or whatever. But when I was staring at that precipice, you know, I almost became just totally empty. And it was interesting to go through that because I understand how dangerous that is and how you got to try all that you can once you're aware of that to make sure others around you aren't going to go down that path. Because really, all that matters towards the end of all this is that you try to limit as much human suffering as possible. When you've been through suffering, you don't want to inflict it. And there's been moments where I have inflicted it, and I have paid the price because of it. And it will follow me for years. But with that said, as long as there's still air in your lungs, you have the chance to better yourself, and you have the chance to better those around you. So you can make it through the storm that's coming down this road. Till next week.